So I started with a quadratic here. It's just y equals x squared plus 8x plus 10. Why is there a big gap in there? Because I want you to try to remember, I taught you the other day, how to put in a couple numbers. It's all about making it factor. That's why I picked factoring as the most important thing of the year. Keeps coming up. So here I am. Adding half of 8 is 4. 4 squared is 16. Who already had a plus 16 on their paper? Nice. And then there's a minus 16 here. And then this part factors to x plus 4 quantity squared. And then this part goes together and makes negative 6. And you might be like, yeah, we already knew that, Mr. Server. Okay, good. I'm glad you knew that. That's called finding vertex form, and it's called complete the square. So one of the skills on your test. But what else can you do with it? I bet you didn't know this. If you want the x-intercepts, you set y equal to 0. You might be thinking, this is the form where you get the vertex. That's not the form where you get the x-intercepts, but you can if you do this. X-intercepts are where y is 0. Everybody put a 0 right there. Now it's 0 equals all that. Now there's two ways to solve this. There's actually 3. One is you could graph it and you could see where it hits the x-axis. Like if I know that this goes over 4 and down 6 and then I can go like this, I know it kind of goes like that, but I still can't tell exactly what these are. But those are the x-intercepts. That's one way. But the way I'm going to teach you is we took the time to put it in vertex form because now all you got to do is add 6 to both sides and some magic starts to happen. Everybody please do that. Now if I follow the right little series of steps, I'll have x alone and there'll be 2 of them and they will be the x-intercepts. So who knows what I should do next? Do you agree I got to get rid of this little 2? How? What's the opposite of squaring? Square rooting. Everybody put a square root on both sides. Next. I know some of you are like, I don't know the square root of 6. But I don't either. So we just leave it as square root of 6. Making it square root of 2 and square root of 3, does that make it any better? No, it's not worth it. If one of those is a perfect square, you should do it, but they're not. So we leave it as square root of 6. Did you remember the absolute values? A ton of people just think there's only one answer, but there's 2. The absolute values is what causes you to have 2 answers. Steichen, can you do the splits on this equation? Tell me what to write. Hint, start with x plus 4.
X plus 4 and then x minus 4.
Wait, equals what?
Equals negative square root 6.
We just start with the regular one. It's just a tradition to write the exact same thing as what we had. That is exactly what we had without the bars. And now over on the other side, x plus 4.
Equals negative square root 6.
There you go. Now, it's really common for people to by accident make that negative. Don't make the 4 negative. It's the negative only is right there. Otherwise, these 2 equations are identical to each other. All right. Then it's super simple. Subtract 4 from both sides. X is alone. Subtract 4 from both sides. X is alone. But I had a disturbing number of people who tried to put the 4 and the 6 together. They have to stay separate. They're not like terms. Negative 4 minus square root 6. You can't combine a 4 and a root 6. It's like apples and oranges. Don't put them together. All right? Cool. Now, if you're extra special, you can write it like this. But that does not get you any extra points. But it is true. And I have something wrong, I can tell. Yep, I have something wrong. It's this one. Let me show you. Right here. I was subtracting 4, so that should be a minus 4 right there. I'm so sorry. And that's a positive root 6. Minus 4 plus root 6 and minus 4 minus root 6. Whew, that's a lot to say. All right, you are going to find that on today's homework, these are going to have some of the most steps of any equations of your entire life. Because you're going to start with a problem and have to do complete square on it. And that takes like 8 steps. And then you start the process of putting in 0 and doing what we just did here, which is just solving the equation. Like, look at how many steps this took from beginning to end. I started with that top thing, ended all the way down here. That's quite a few steps. All right. And there's some that are even worse. Because, what if there's a 2 in front? Everybody write this one down. 2x squared minus 4x minus 1. I want to remind you how to complete the square on this kind. Once again, it's always factoring. There's a 2 in both of those, so you factor it out. And then I hope you remember how to do the half and square thing, and there's a little tiny step that everybody forgets. Let's see if you were the one who forgets it today. Get this all the way down to vertex form. It'll look like this. I'm going to put a question mark. All right, once you're done, check with the person sitting next to you. See if they got the same thing as you. Okay, please talk to that kid next to you. All right. I hope you knew that you take half of this and then you square it, which is still 1. And then you'd put minus 1. Then don't forget this minus 1, which was also up there. Next, you have x plus 1, quantity squared. And then those two together make negative 2. Classic mistake! Who sees what I forgot? Maybe you forgot it too then. When I did plus 1 and minus 1, aren't those supposed to cancel each other out? They wouldn't, because this one is going to get times by 2. Do you remember now? If that one's going to get times by 2, then this one has to get times by 2 also. So, the number at the end is a negative 3. Negative 2 for this, negative 1 for that, total of negative 3. How many of you had it right? I'm curious. All right, there was 3 people. Yes?
Wouldn't the 2x be negative 2x because it's negative?
Oh, you got me on the negative. You got me on the negative. This is negative, you're right. And then that changes this to also be minus. Thankfully, that's the only other change, I think. Oops. No wonder there's only 2 people had it right. How many had it right now? Oh, that's more like 5. All right. Okay. I messed up. I forgot a negative. That's going to happen to all of you, and that's one of the reasons that we give you a 95%. Even if you get 3 out of 4 right on the easies and 3 out of 4 right on the hard ones on your test. Because a dumb mistake shouldn't cost you an A. All right. Let's do one more. 4x squared minus, let me think. I'm going to do something that 4 goes into. There we go. Oh, wait. But wait. If I do that one, that's not good. Let's do 16. There we go. Do complete the square to find the vertex. And then solve it, setting it equal to 0 so that you get the x-intercepts. That's today's homework. Thankfully, there's only like 5 problems. All right, so first step. Jonah, what do I do first?
You do divide by 4.
Good. 4 gets factored out. If I divide this and this by 4, I got to put a 4 in front. And I got x squared minus 4x. All right, Luke, take over from there.
Now you do the half and square.
Excellent. What's that?
That turns out to be 4.
Yep. And then a minus 4 to cancel it. And then I bring down this minus 2. All right, who's next? Yes.
To multiply by 4 by the negative.
Yes. That 4 also has to go here. Steichen. Here's how the equation starts. Know what to do?
You factor
Yep, this gets factored.
maybe negative 2.
Yep. Squared. And then negative 16 minus 2. Did you have negative 18? Raise your hand if you had that one right. Okay, cool. Now that's not done though, because now set it equal to 0. And that was where y would be, and so we just finding the x-intercepts, which is where y is 0. So then, what is this madness? We're going to add 18 to both sides. You got to do all of that for one problem? Yes. Divide both sides by 4. This is a really common place to get stuck. Tomas, you know what to do? Yep. after realizing its square root. This is by far the most common mistake once a kid has the square roots on here. I'm making this mistake on purpose. I'm going to do it twice. There's 2 mistakes up there. You tell me one of the mistakes? Yeah. Yep. The other one's subtle. You know the square root of 9, so you should do it. When there's 2 square roots on the top and the bottom, you could do them separate. I know the square root of 9, it's 3. You can do that? Yes, you can. So square root of 9 over square root of 2 is what that really was. And that's 3 over root 2. So in a fraction, you can do the top and the bottom separately. Okay. Holy cow, this is a really long problem. I warned you. Probably the longest problems you've ever done. Might be the longest problem you've ever done in your life. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably going to be 8 steps by the time we're done. Now, if there is any math teacher watching me right now from another school district, I could totally see them going, you can't leave it like that. Because in some schools, you can't leave square roots on the bottom. You have to do what's called rationalize the denominator. But for this class, we follow what they do in AP Calculus, where in AP Calc you are allowed to leave square roots on the bottom, so we're going to leave it that way. But just in case you have a friend from like Texas and they're like, wait a minute, you can't leave the square root on the bottom. It's a thing. They make people get the square root out of there, and it's a real pain in the butt. You have to multiply the bottom and the top by the square root of 2. It's not that hard, but then that brings the square root up to the top. We don't make you do that here. So yay, we're done. Okay, that was tough. Look at all of that. If you signed up for an honors class, there's no way we would do this in regular higher algebra. So nice work. You're in a hard enough math class to be proud of how hard they are. All right. Let's get started. Everybody find the Schoology quiz. There's first one is just a really, really simple one. So I want to start that with you just to make sure you get this. So please take that Schoology quiz and read me number 1. Carlos, would you read number 1, please? All right. And you might be like, well, this isn't in any form that I've ever seen. It's not in vertex form. It's not in factored form. It's not in standard form. That's all true. But if the goal is to solve it, you just add a square root both sides. It's like one of those problems that we were just doing, except it's like halfway done already. And don't forget the absolute value. I get asked this a lot. Or if you can simplify it, do you have to? Yes, from now till the end of time. If you ever can simplify stuff, you should simplify it. So the square root of 12 does simplify. It's root 4 and root 3, and the root 4 is actually 2. So then it's 2 root 3. If you can simplify, if you're going to give an answer of 4/8, you know it'd be better to say 1/2. You should simplify. And are we done? No, not even close. You split it into your two equations now. All right, I think you get the idea. Now I'm going to do 1, 2, skip a few because a ton of people ask me about number 3. Would you go to number 3 right now? Just skip ahead to problem 3. Luke, would you read me number 3? It starts with 2x squared, I think.
Yeah, 2x squared plus 12x plus 12 equals 0.
All right. And I totally get that a lot of people want to factor the 2 out of everything. Don't do that because this thing does not factor all the way. You can get the 2 out, but then you can't factor it any further, and that means you can't solve it by factoring. So we got to do the complete the square thing here. Because once we get in complete the squared form, which is vertex form, then you can just add something to both sides, square root it. All right. Two factors out. I got x squared plus 6x, and then you'll do your half and squared little deal. That'll tell you what to put here. Don't forget whatever you put here, you also need to multiply it by 2. Half of 6 is 3. 3 squared is 9 plus 9 minus 9. So once you get it in vertex form, that's when the problem starts. You start solving it from there. And I'll just do the first step in red. You're going to add 6 to both sides. You're going to divide by 2. You're going to square root. Absolute values. It's intense. All right. Now I got a fair amount of time left. I'm going to put on some music and hope that you come up and ask me questions.